How are you guys? Welcome back to Wargaming China. Now, today, again, I'm going to platform my understandings of the War of Resistance against Japanese aggression in China from 1931 to 1945. But today we're going to have a look at a subject that took me a long time to crack. And I thought you might find it interesting. And it's a project that I'm currently working on. So that's why today the setup that you're looking at is very basic. Now, how do I start with this? Pontoon bridges. Now, pontoon bridges have appeared in warfare since ancient times, and they played a very significant part in the Allied victory of World War II. How the Allies could build bridges. Um, and we think of Allied pontoon bridges, we think of the Bailey Bridge, which was a superb piece of British engineering. And we look at other um, Bailey bridges that have been built in history, and especially Napoleon's advance into Russia, where there's some humongous pontoon bridges built, and they take time. And the reason they take time is those armies, logistically, some did at times take with them pontoon bridges, but mainly it was the job of the engineers to chop down the timber and make the timbers ready, and for the commissariat to round up the boats. And the boats would have to have the necessary work done so that all the planking could be put across. So, because obviously there'd be different types of boats that you would have to use to cross a river. You might be lucky if you found some. It's a difficult subject because if you look at artists' impressions, and that's all we have of some bridges, Napoleon's bridges, we see uniform rowboats of the same size spanning a huge expanse of river. But I don't really think it would have been that simple for them. This was why the Bailey Bridge was such a huge advance in bridging equipment. I'm not going to talk about what the German army had. There's plenty of experts on that. If you want to talk about German pontoon equipment, just a quick mention of the Bailey Bridge. Now, when I looked at China, rivers, there are lots and lots and lots of rivers, but not that many bridges. And the bridges and existing railway lines, we could say, established crossing points. Okay? So, if you had established crossing points, that is where you would find bureaucracy, the taxman. And I have to thank my brother Dean for thinking of this as to why these bridges exist. Because the Chinese pontoon bridges are very special. Now, I said in a previous video that some villages and towns and farmers have been taxed well over 100 years in advance. So, inaccessibility had always played a key role in the part of where fishermen and peasants found themselves. Because we've got to remember, in China, once you were once you were 1 mile outside of any major city, you were in bandit country. Um, so, villages along rivers. And I've been looking at quite a few pictures now. So this is a lot of this. I mean, I haven't done academic research of bridges in China, nor of these bridges. I've done quite a bit of photographic analysis of one of about 6 or 7 pictures that I have in a book, which I will show you soon. But see, I always wondered when I read a pontoon bridge or the Chinese crossed this river, this army, how was that? Because the logistics and the skill to build a pontoon bridge, especially in China where the rivers can be deep. I mean, sometimes what a Westerner would call a river, a Chinese person would consider a creek. That's how many rivers and how mighty the rivers are in China. So, how I thought and always wondered, was it possible that the Chinese had logistics to successfully build pontoon bridges? And in some of the accounts I read, especially one during the Long March, it seemed that the rivers were getting spanned impossibly quickly. And also I wondered during this account of the Red March, crossing at Diaoxian, how the hell the Red Army had managed to get a pontoon bridge so quickly together. And the answer is, well, the answer I found very interesting. As I said, with the tax situation in China, and the banditry, and the piracy along the rivers, most towns would be built along a river that would be built very steep, rocky banks with one slipway going down to the river, and perhaps another slipway on the far side of the bank. And then you would see the boats, the fishing boats, about 30 foot long, with a beam, I'd say, of about 5 foot. And I haven't finished these yet. I bought them for $3 a pop. They were like a sailing boat. I bought them at a $2 shop. And as I said, this is a work in progress. I'm going to make them into sampans. I'll do circular bamboo matting. And the boats will be seen in service, because indeed small boats, I just don't have enough of them. So how would one suppose, if one was a Westerner and you got to a town like, hang on, I'm just going to read it again, because Dao Xian, how would you assume that there's a bridge there? As a Western army, you would not. You would see there are fishing boats, and you would requisition them. However, if you're on this side of the river, you will find no fishing boats. They'll all be anchored safely on the other side of the river. So there's a challenge itself in getting your hands on the fishing boats to cross the river. Now, let's get back to the established crossing points. Now, most armies in World War II, when they were putting up a Bailey Bridge or a river bridge crossing, they were building it at an established crossing point. Now, these, in the little villages and towns along the rivers of China, are not established crossing points. Because established crossing points are where the taxman is. So these bridges, and that's exactly what they are. You see, each little town or little village, its Hesu, which would be the smallest kind of council control body in China, would dictate that every boat working on the river would have the same specifications as to the portage of the bridge. So therefore, it wasn't a case of some of them might be not have to have work on them to build a Bailey Bridge, use them for a Bailey Bridge. They were all built and designed and only licensed if they obeyed the guidelines of each town. Now, so and again, these boats are all moored on the other side. But what's the next important thing? Now, if we just gonna move the microphone. Hang on, there you go. Okay, so the timbers for such a bridge would have to be, for a regular army building one on the go, would have to be cut down and prepared. But not so for these bridges, because the lashings and timbers necessary to complete the boat, their bridge, are already in the town. They are already established, because these bridges and bridges like them earn a lot of money for these fishing villages and communities, because there was a lot of tax in China. That meant that there was a lot of people keen to avoid paying it, and villages could Diaoxiang, and I'll show you Diaoxiang. The book is called the Long March. Now here we have the building of the bridge, and Diaoxiang, it was 130 meters wide. Okay, and we can see that all the timbers, because I mean you can't see it as close as me, but all the timbers are pre-cut and stacked. And I don't just mean that. They're see, it's the engineering now that's really impressed me about these. Just get comfortable again. See, the thing is about most bridges, a Bailey bridge in particular, is you have to work against the current. So to keep a bridge straight, if you wanted it to be used for a long time, you would have to drive piles into it, or as my mate Dave Bunty suggested, you know, in World War II, a line of ducts with the engine running with planking going across and the drivers just compensating for the current. But obviously such facilities were not available to the Chinese. But what was simple engineering. Now, as I said, many towns can still, the book was published in 1986, the 50th anniversary of the Long March, and many towns and villages still had this system in go. And the town at Daoxian, where the Red Army had crossed, could span the bridge in an hour, span the distance in an hour. And of course these bridges wouldn't be able to take lorries and trucks, but they could take light artillery, because the Chinese army, like even if we look at some of the Germanized divisions, their artillery wasn't equipped with lumbers and caissons. So you know, you can see some divisions armed with 75mm Bofors mountain guns, and they're just being towed directly by horses. There's no caisson or carriage. So a bridge like this, perfectly serviceable for the Chinese army. Does it classify as a pontoon bridge? Because this is permanently in the area. It's not assembled all the time, because remember, these villages don't want to be accessed. Accessibility means banditry, tax collectors, things like that. So I found these bridges very fascinating, but let's get back to the engineering of this. So, as I said, most armies, if they had to, they would have to, how can I say this? I'm not the world's best communicator, okay? The engineering difficulties posed by a pontoon bridge are that the current will shift the bridge. And, of course, this puts incredible stress on the timbers, and a fast-flowing deep river. It's very difficult to keep your pontoon bridges in position without getting them washed away. So how did the Chinese conquer this? How did they get over this problem? Because it's a problem I hadn't. The West by this, and I'm talking the 1940s, hadn't. I can't see that they've used the same principles. So what we're looking at, and again, let's go back to the picture. Now, if we look at the timbers, they're always in bundles of 6, 4, and 2, and every other bundle has, I don't know if you can see that, has a spike, and the spikes are positioned throughout so that a chain can then run through them and connect all the bridges together down, and then the bridges are connected at the slipway. So the Chinese bridges, the Chinese bridges, pontoon bridges, they didn't bother trying to fight the current. Sorry, that's gone. It's gone the wrong way. They didn't bother trying to fight the current. They had made sure that as the timbers, as I said, they're all in bundles, and they're all bowed. All the timbers are bowed, so that when the natural current of the river bows, forces the bridge to, has its impact on the boats, the timber is flexed or against itself, which was given these bridges would be incredibly strong bridges because of the shape of the timber, the cut of the timber. And as I said, it's all in bundles, ready to go in the villages. And poor villages like Daoxian wouldn't have just had the Red Army crossing. They would have had plenty of, as I said, people that didn't want to pay taxes on goods. And of course I can't put a curved bridge on the War Games table, not like this, so we'll play it as a straight bridge. But I thought you'd find that fascinating. I certainly did. And I've got to think of a way to interlock the bridge works, because as I said, this is a work in progress too. So I've still got to do the shading on the planking, and a bit more work. But just a simple one today that already went on into 17 minutes. God, I do bloody waffle. Alright guys, well that's it. I hope you like that. Whack that subscribe if you want more from me. That's it for now. See ya.